But suddenly, I wasn't in my body anymore. I was above it. I could see myself lying on the floor. I could see my co-workers rushing in, someone yelling for an ambulance, another person doing chest compressions. But I wasn't scared. I wasn't in pain. I wasn't even really me, at least, not the me I knew. I was free. And then I began to move, up, out, away. Not fast, not slow. Just floating, like a leaf on a breeze. There was no fear. There was only peace. A deep, quiet, unshakable peace. And then I was somewhere else. It wasn't dark. It wasn't bright in the way we think of light. It was different, like the air itself was alive. The colors weren't like anything on earth, softer, deeper, more real. And the silence, it wasn't empty. It was full. Full of something I can only describe as presence. Like I wasn't alone, even though I couldn't see anyone yet. And then I saw him. I didn't see his face. I didn't need to. I knew him. I felt him. It wasn't with my eyes or my ears. It was with everything I was. My soul. My heart. My spirit. He didn't speak in words, but I heard him. Not with my ears, but with my soul. And what he said wasn't loud or dramatic. It was gentle, clear, certain. Sarian, you're safe. You're with me. I wanted to cry. I wanted to fall down. I wanted to say 1,000 things. I'm sorry, I didn't live right, I didn't love enough, I didn't believe enough, but I didn't have to say anything. He already knew. And he wasn't angry. He wasn't disappointed. He was love. Pure, unbroken, endless love. And in that moment, I understood something I never had before. I was known. Not just seen, not just judged, but known. Every thought, every fear, every hidden part of me, and he still loved me. I didn't feel shame. I felt seen. And loved anyway. And then, without moving, I was somewhere else. I was standing, though I wasn't really standing, on a vast, open space. It wasn't earth. It wasn't sky. It was something beyond both. And in front of me was a scene, like a vision, but more real than anything I'd ever seen. I saw people. Not floating, not glowing, not in robes. Just people. Walking. Talking. Smiling. Some were young, some were old. Some I recognized. My grandmother, my cousin who died in a car accident when I was 16. They weren't sad. They weren't confused. They were at rest. Not asleep, not unconscious, but deeply, perfectly at peace. And they were waiting. I didn't hear a voice this time, but the understanding came into my mind like a thought that wasn't mine. They are not reborn. They are not living again in another body. They are not paying for sins in another life. They are resting, waiting for the day when all things are made new. And then I saw something else. A great distance away, though distance didn't mean the same thing there, I saw a place of light. Not just brightness, but life. Movement. Joy. Celebration. Music without sound. Laughter without noise. And I knew this was where those who had chosen him were going. This was the home he had prepared. But I also saw, in the far edges of that vision, a place of shadow. Not darkness like night, but absence. Like something was missing. And I understood, this was for those who had turned away. Not because he didn't want them, but because they had chosen not to come. And in that moment, I saw the truth about reincarnation. It wasn't a lie shouted at me. It wasn't a vision of past lives flashing before my eyes. It was the absence of it. There was no cycle, no return, no second chances after death, no karmic balance, no lives to live over and over. Just two paths, rest with him or separation from him. And the souls I saw, those who had died, were not preparing to come back. They were not being sent to new bodies. They were not learning lessons through suffering in another life. They were waiting, at peace, held, safe. And I heard it again, not in words, but in knowing, one life, one choice, one death. Then comes what is next. And I knew this was the truth. Not what I'd heard on TV, not what I'd read in books about Eastern religions or spiritual gurus. Not what people say to comfort themselves about death. This was real. This was final. This was true. And then I was shown my own life. Not in a movie, not in fast flashes, but in feeling. Every moment, every choice, every time I had been kind, every time I had been selfish, every prayer I had whispered in the dark. Every time I had ignored someone who needed me. Every time I had chosen fear over faith. And I didn't feel condemned. I felt accountable. Like standing before a mirror that showed not my face, but my soul. And again I heard, you were given time. You were given grace. You were given love. What will you do with it? And I wanted to say, I'll do better. I'll change. I'll tell everyone. But I didn't get to speak. Because then, without warning, I was falling. Not down, not fast, but like being pulled back into something heavy, something tight. And then, pain. Cold. Noise. Light that hurt my eyes. I opened my eyes and saw white ceiling tiles. Machines beeping. A nurse leaning over me. Welcome back, Sarian, she said. Because I believe God doesn't bring people back just to keep quiet. He brings them back to witness. To say, it's real. He's real. Love is real. Eternity is real. And your life, this one, this short, messy, beautiful life, is the only chance you get to choose where you'll spend forever. So choose wisely. Choose love. Choose peace. Choose Him. Because when I stood in that place beyond time, I realized something that changed me forever. The most important thing in this life isn't what we achieve. It's who we become. And who we love. And when I go back, and I will one day, I want to be the kind of person who was known not for how much she had, but for how much she gave. Not for how smart she was, but for how deeply she loved. Not for how long she lived, but for how fully.